Hello, everybody. I'm Helen Farrell from the Florentine. We're back with our live TF Together sessions to keep you company during this lockdown, which never seems to end. This evening, we've got a wonderful company with Daniel Hernández Lyon, who's a communications consultant for Fondazione CR Firenze and also for Fondazione Andrea Bocelli. So two amazing institutions based in Florence who are doing incredible things for the city. I've been getting the press releases from Daniel and from everybody in both associations, and I'm just in awe of what you guys are doing to help Florence right now. I don't know, Daniel, if you could maybe explain well, let's start with Fondazione CR.
Sure. First of all,
what does the Fondazione do exactly? Because we think it's a bank maybe, but that's not all it is, right?
First of all, hi everyone, and thank you, Helen, for the invite. I wish we would be doing this over a glass of wine in Sant'Ambrogio, but you know, it is what it is. Like you said, it's like a never-ending quarantine. So. I'm actually a communications consultant, like you said, for both the Fondazione CR Firenze and through Edelman Public Relations, which is a company, an agency that I've been working with since 2006 on and off. I work for the Andrea Bocelli Foundation. So I'm really excited to talk about what we've been seeing, what we've been doing over the past couple of months in support of COVID-19. Like you said, a lot of people think that Fondazione CR Firenze is the bank. Why? Because CR stands for Cassa di Risparmio, which in Italian means savings bank. It's actually not. They share the same roots going back to the 1800s when the bank was founded. But in 1992, the foundation was established as an independent nonprofit. And since 2000, thanks to a series of complicated Italian laws that we won't get into in this moment.
No, that's not.
The foundation has been completely independently run. So oftentimes we get people writing into our Facebook page saying, my ATM card isn't working. And it's like, sorry, we're not the bank. Actually, Cassa di Risparmio actually doesn't exist anymore. It's Intesa San Paolo now. So the foundation, thanks to a series of investments, about 2 billion euro in endowment, invests about 30 million euros a year in the territory. So it's 3 cities that the foundation primarily focuses on. So Florence, Arezzo, and Grosseto. They work on distributing these funds across 5 sectors. So the first one is arts and culture. The second one is scientific research and economic development, volunteerism and solidarity. Then we have, of course, charity and philanthropy, and then education. So just to give you an idea of the impact that the Fondazione has every year on the territory, just in 2018, those are the latest numbers that we have available, over 900 projects were funded across these 5 sectors. So it's not little, it's not peanuts, right? We can safely say that without the Fondazione, a lot of the things that Florentines love to do every day and all of the institutions that they like to frequent wouldn't exist or wouldn't have the funds to do what they do today. So these can range major support that is given to several institutions, like, for example, the Maggio Musicale, the Palazzo Strozzi is a big beneficiary of the Fondazione. Banco Alimentari, so all of the food donations that are given in Florence and around Florence are heavily supported by the Fondazione. And even the University of Florence's scientific research department has a lot of work that we do together. But there's more, of course, it's the Fondazione. So they also, a lot of people really don't know this, Villa Bardini, which is an iconic cultural institution and garden overlooking the city of Florence, was completely restored and brought back to its original splendor by the Fondazione in 2006. So if it hadn't been for the Fondazione, which still oversees the operations today, we wouldn't have the famous Wisteria pergola, or we wouldn't have amazing exhibits that we could go to on the weekends. And hopefully when we get out, we'll be able to.
We still have that webcam that we can tune in for the Wisteria. Thank goodness for that, Daniel, right?
We set up a webcam so you can see the famous Wisteria in bloom. There's like It's amazing. And then last but not least, among the many, many initiatives that the Fondazione does every year on an ongoing basis is supporting local artisan traditions here in Florence. So they were one of the co-founders and still actively help promote the Osservatorio del Mestiere d'Arte. So supporting the network of all of the local artisans in Florence to keep that beautiful tradition alive. So that's a very long story, very short, but I could go on for hours to talk about what they do.
I know, it is incredible. I mean, I sort of remember, I've been the editor of the Florentine now for a long time. And over the years, just like I say, the press release is incredible. I mean, last summer, I think it was last May, we were talking about when the Fondazione CR Firenze helped restore the water fountains down there by Piazza Poggi. So, I mean, there's all sorts of things that you guys have done over the years that are incredible. But maybe let's talk about the Fondazione's reaction to the current crisis as well, because I know, I've been seeing photos of, investments in respirators, healthcare equipment, and all sorts of things. Maybe if you could take us through a little bit that situation.
Yeah, sure. I mean, the foundation, thank God, is quite nimble because they are independent. So they're not locked down by a lot of the bureaucratic steps that many organizations in Italy have to deal with, right? Mm-hmm. So as soon as the foundation saw that the situation was getting quite tricky in Florence and in Tuscany specifically, the board decided to donate or to dedicate 3.2 million euros to act on responding to the COVID-19 crisis specifically. So this fund are readily available funds that can be activated as soon as they're needed. So specifically to take care of the healthcare crisis, part of those funds have been donated to purchase, for example, 33 million face masks, medical grade face masks, that are being distributed throughout the Tuscany region in collaboration, of course, with the city government, which has been an incredible partner for the Fondazione and the Regione Toscana as well. They've purchased, I have some numbers here that I wrote down because I can't possibly remember everything that they've bought, but 47 ventilators for the hospitals, 232 breathing masks, 500,000 euros dedicated to support organizations in the region, 130,000 protective wearables, and even 500,000 blood test kits. So, this is something that is critically needed immediately, and luckily with the foundation and all of its network, they've been able to get into action right away from a healthcare perspective. And of course, there's many other things that they've been doing directly and indirectly with the hospitals. For example, with the Misericordia, they were able to transform 3 ambulances into mobile reanimation clinics, so they don't have to, a patient doesn't have to wait to go back to the hospital in order to go into reanimation. They've even converted 2 abandoned spaces, ex-hospitals, in a record manner of time, I mean like literally record time, to create hospital beds for senior citizens who are suffering from COVID. So, I mean, the response has been incredible from the foundation, and as an external person, a consultant working in Italy now for almost 6 years, this has been one of the most remarkable operations I've ever seen.
It is incredible, and you mentioned about the network. I mean, one of the most incredible things of the Fondazione is the fact that it can activate this incredible, it can generate real momentum and energy and reach people with its activities. And I know you've been involved with crowdfunding campaigns. I think there was one in the beginning of the crisis, and there's another one that's launching now.
Yeah. So the first one was called Sostiene un infermiere, which in Italian, for those English speakers who might not be as familiar with the language, means support a nurse. So that was actually launched by the Fondazione Claudio Ciai, which I'm actually a member of the board of, and have been involved since its inception. And they help victims of road accidents in the workplace. They saw a need for 700 nurses that are coming in from out of town, from all over Italy, to help support the Florentine medical system. So after reading this article, the foundation's president contacted the Fondazione and said, I have this idea for a crowdfunder. Can we do something together? So they were able to then move very quickly, in a matter of days, to pull together this crowdfunder that had a very fun viral element with a hashtag. So it became quite viral. And I mean, even from the Fondazione CR standpoint, we saw so much engagement on social media. So it was really an incredible campaign to work with. And in a matter of, I think it was 9 days, they raised over 50,000 euros. So we saw that the community in Florence really came together and supported this cause. The other fundraiser that we're currently working on for the Fondazione CR Firenze is a GoFundMe. It's not a GoFundMe. It's an online fundraiser for a campaign called Firenze per Firenze. So Florence for Florence. This is a project that was developed in collaboration with the city government, and people can go on Plan B, it's called, the platform, to donate.
If anybody wants to click on it, there it is.
Yeah. And you have 3 projects to choose from. The one that we're most actively promoting at the moment is a project for raising funds for the Banco Alimentari, so to donate food supplies, food donations, who have seen an increase of more than 1,000 people a day that have been asking for support and food, which is like really sad. And then for Caritas as well. So Fondazione Caritas, which is soup kitchens and meal donations, they've also seen an increase of 53% in requests for meals. So this is an incredible fundraiser that the Fondazione is supporting and promoting. For every donation, the Fondazione is going to be tripling the donation, matching 3 times. So so we're asking everyone to donate and help in any way they can. So as little as €1 or as much as you can donate, it would be great.
No, it's I just find it quite incredible. And then, as if all this weren't enough. And there's, if you'd like to go and see some of the charitable projects in general that are going on in Florence at the moment, there's a link there to an article that my colleague Jane wrote yesterday. So there's a good roundup, and all of the Fondazione CR Firenze's activities are listed in there as well. So as if all this weren't enough, there's also the educational aspect, and you have children continue their learning in this tricky time when we do not know when they will return to school.
And
what's that side of things about?
Moms are going crazy trying to find things for the kids to do, right? The Fondazione has always been incredibly committed to education and youth in Florence, because we understand that the young, our human capital, is the future. So without the proper development and education of young generations, we're not going to go anywhere. So in response to the COVID-19 crisis specifically, the Fondazione acquired about 280 tablets that have been donated to the schools in Florence and have been given to families in need who might not have the funds to be able to have a computer, a high-tech device in order to access all of the e-learning that is going on today. We've also very quickly put together a project called In Collezione per Bambini, so in collection for children. In Collezione essentially is the Fondazione CR Firenze's permanent art collection. So over the years, the Fondazione has gathered thousands of masterpieces of Tuscan artists and Florentine artists, ranging from Giotto to Vasari, all the way through to all the Macchiaiolis. Helen, I know you've seen them in person.
It's an incredible collection.
that people can visit once a month for free. So if you go on our website, you can find ways to register. And as soon as we're out of this crisis, I invite everyone to come to our offices, which is like incredibly beautiful. So we figured that moms in need for arts and crafts projects at home could benefit from a series of videos that we put together over the last couple of weeks that are educational but fun at the same time. So we dedicate one episode, each episode, to a specific artwork in the collection, and we, in very simple terms for kids, explain what it is, some of the particularities of the artwork, and then the parents can download fun arts and crafts instructions, and the kids can play at home. Then we've asked families to send us in the pictures of or the designs that the kids are doing, and it's been really fun. We've gotten some really good responses. But to incentivize them even more and to help the moms who haven't been able to go out and buy crayons or markers, we acquired over 1,000 kits of crayons that we send out to the families that send in their designs, their kids' designs. So that's been a really fun project that we've been working on as well.
I'm even more in awe now that we're talking about all this, and it's incredible. Can I ask what plans there are, maybe aside from COVID-19? You know, once we get out of this, I'm sure the Fondazione have other things up their sleeve that normal activities that I guess you're continuing at the same, alongside all this, or trying to. What else is the Fondazione up to at the moment?
Nothing. No, the Fondazione never stops. I have to say that this is all work that we've gotten on top of everything that the Fondazione has been doing. So going back to education and youth, Tutto Merito Mio, which is one of the cornerstone programs of the Fondazione, alongside the Intesa San Paolo Bank, that have pulled together resources, and 7.5 million euros have been invested in this project to give scholarships to 140 students from our territory who come from families with financial difficulties, but are highly accomplished students between the ages of 17 and 19. So essentially, this program is incredible. I mean, I've never seen anything like it. It's essentially, not only do they get scholarship money, but they also get sort of a full package to help them become well-rounded people. So everything from tickets to go see theater shows, to tutors that help them, go deeper into specific topic, to field trips across Italy and abroad to go see companies, the European Space Agency or the Italian Space Agency, for example, campus. They even get memberships to the gym because obviously you need a healthy body to have a healthy mind, right? So it's sort of, in Italian they say ascensore sociale, so a social elevator. So transforming the lives of these kids and helping them have the opportunities that they would never be able to have if they didn't come from families who would be able to offer them all of these incredible opportunities. So the first batch of kids, 140 kids, are in the program. It's a multi-year program. And we just launched this week the second call. So we're looking for another 140 students to get involved. So that's, if anyone has or knows of kids that are incredibly motivated and deserving of these types of scholarships and programs, then we welcome you to visit our website. You can find all the information there. We have other projects that we're working on, of course. So recently we launched a call for 10 companies in Florence and Arezzo who are looking for scientific researchers to be embedded into their companies. So the Fondazione will pay these researchers salaries to help find innovative solutions for the business challenge. So we're not talking about chemical companies specifically or pharmaceutical companies. It can be anything from pottery companies or wine companies looking to understand how to better work the material, the raw materials, or jewelry companies trying to understand how to optimize sustainability operations, for example. So that program is really, really unique. And so we're promoting that right now with the help of the University of Florence as well. What else can I tell you about? What else are we working on? Yeah, so we've launched another project just this week. We're donating 300,000 euros to help restore masterworks located in the churches in Florence. So restorers who currently might be looking for opportunities can log on to our website again and look for the grants that are available to go and work on a specific piece. And we know, Helen, by living here, that there's so much art that we can't keep up with all the restoration that's needed.
No, we can't, and that's where the world is needed as well. I mean, that's what we always see with the Florentine, is this incredible outpouring of love for this city and for everything that it's given. So I'm sure there's people out there who would love to see these restored pieces when they're done, and would like to actually participate in helping towards fund them maybe as well.
Yeah, we can't forget, especially in this time period, all of the other needs that the territory has, right? Yeah. So a lot of companies are focusing their efforts on promoting COVID-19 specific initiatives, but the art world can't stop. The culture can't stop. Education can't stop. So it's really critical for the foundation to keep doing this work. And then we have the most important project that we're working on this year, which is the restoration and the transformation of the ex caserma cavalli, so the barracks, the Medici barracks from the Baroque times, into a digital hub. So Nana Bianca, the co-working space, will be given the opportunity to set up shop at the ex caserma cavalli in San Frediano. So as soon as we get out of this crisis, and hopefully the work will end very soon, we'll be able to inaugurate that space. Alongside that, there will be spaces dedicated to digital innovation, talks, workshops open to the public. So it'll be an incredible space. The Tel Aviv University actually also is going to be setting up their campus, one of the campuses in Florence, to dedicate their scholarship to properly digital innovation and digital security. So it's very cool.
Incredible.
We're
wow.
very
about the Firenze, but I would like to speak about one of your other roles. I mean, I think most of us who are watching probably saw the incredible performance outside Milan Cathedral by Andrea Bocelli. I think I defy anyone to have not been moved or to have shed a couple of tears seeing Andrea there outside and inside the cathedral. Yeah. Maybe could you tell us a little bit about what the Andrea Bocelli Foundation does and how it's related to moments of sublimity like Andrea's performance?
Yeah, sure. I mean, that was one of the most iconic moments of the maestro's career, I think. So the Andrea Bocelli Foundation was established in 2011 by the maestro and his family to help empower people in communities. So that was the mission that inspired the maestro to found this foundation. Today, it's run by an independent group of executives who are world-class. Their offices are located in Via de' Martelli right now, right next to the Duomo. And actually, they're moving offices to San Firenze later this year. So a beautiful Baroque building in the center of the city. And so the Fondazione has raised about 30 million euros over the last couple of years to develop specific projects in Italy and abroad. So right now they have about 20 active projects in central Italy, specifically after the 2016 earthquake, where many of the smaller towns in the region were destroyed. The Fondazione saw an opportunity to go in and help reconstruct schools. So their mission sort of became more focused on education and music education especially, and innovation in this field. So the school in Sarnano was reconstructed 2 years ago in a record 150 days. With the same timeline last year, in Mucha was reconstructed, and thanks to a fundraiser at the end of last year, the Academy of Music in Camerino is being built as we speak, even though there's been some delays because of the entire COVID-19 crisis. There's an incredible methodology, music methodology and education that's implemented in all of their projects. And so when we saw that the COVID-19 crisis was taking shape, we were able to identify, or more, I should say, the leadership of the foundation identified a need for the community in Camerino to get some supplies from a medical standpoint. So the Fondazione Bocelli opened up a GoFundMe campaign, which is called ABF for Camerino, so ABF, Andrea Bocelli Foundation for Camerino, that raised about, that just actually raised 250,000 euros. The first 150,000 euros were dedicated to providing supplies to the Camerino COVID-19 hospital. And then the other 100,000 euros are being dedicated to spread medical supplies across central Italy and hospitals all over, including Florence. So that's been incredible. And to answer your question, sorry, it was a kind of long-winded introduction.
No, it's all fascinating. So all useful information.
To answer your question, so our role as communicators, or at least my role as a consultant and with my colleagues at the Fondazione, we've been working to sort of piggyback on iconic moments like the Maestro's performance at the Duomo, which, by the way, became the most watched classical performance ever in the history of the internet. So it was unbelievable. So we always look for ways to integrate fundraising efforts into the Maestro's performances around the world, letting people know that the foundation exists, that it's a resource for music education, and that we are actually doing a lot of really wonderful work in Italy and abroad. So yeah, so I can see that the foundation website is there. You can go log on and learn more about what they do and make a donation for the campaign that's running right now.
I mean, you're obviously a very busy guy, Daniel, but you do other things as well, right? You were talking to me this morning. We did we got together to test the platform, as you do, and you were talking to me about some facts and figures that have emerged in the current crisis. Maybe if you could tell us a little bit about what you do there and the interesting things that you're finding out through your other work.
Yeah, so as I mentioned earlier, I've been working with Edelman Public Relations, which is the largest public relations communications agency in the world. Since 2006, I used to work with them in New York, and I've been working with the Milan team for about four years now. I primarily work on international projects. So for many years, I helped run the Lavazza global business, overseeing the global coffee company's strategy and its implementation in about 28 different markets. So the most fun that I had with Lavazza is working on all of their purpose projects, so CSR. And that sort of has helped me become more in tune with nonprofit work. And so for Edelman, we've been developing a lot of really interesting case studies and projects for companies in Italy and abroad that have helped bring out a mission for brands that might be unexpected, right? So you, for example, might think, well, what does a coffee company have to do with purpose? Or why would anyone want a brand like that help the world? So no, you have to think about the supply chain. You have to think about all of the coffee growers that the company works with. So all of these types of initiatives that need to be put into place and communicated in the right way to the consumer, right? So Edelman Public Relations Global develops a very important study every year that's called the Trust Barometer, that's presented at Davos on an annual basis. So it's been tracking for many, many years the state of trust between consumers and different organizations and stakeholders. So consumers versus brands, consumers versus government, consumers versus NGOs, for example. This year, as soon as the COVID-19 crisis started, Edelman quickly pulled together its global resources and developed a study across a number of markets, Italy included, to understand consumer sensations and reactions to these different stakeholders and their state and trust. So there were a few interesting data points that we've been working with to help shape strategy for our clients, right? So in Italy specifically, and I wrote down some of these figures, almost 60% of respondents have strong trust for NGOs. So companies and organizations like the Fondazione CR Firenze or the Andrea Bocelli Foundation. 83% of respondents expect, or demand, I would say, that their employers protect their employees and help the community. So that's really important, because if brands don't act quickly and transform, like many of, for example, the fashion houses have been doing, right, in Italy. These aren't my clients, but I've been reading about them, like Prada and Fendi, for example, converting their factories, right, to help.
Ferragamo in Florence has been,
in Florence, yeah, of course, it's huge. So they expect that these brands turn around and help the communities. And we've noticed through our research that consumers say that what companies do now, what they do today, is going to have an impact on purchasing decisions after this crisis goes away. So it's essential for companies to start acting and actually working to do better in their communities. It's something that we've been talking about for many, many years, but now it's more important than ever. So not just in the COVID-19 world, but after this.
Sure. I mean, and that's what's a struggle at the moment. You know, we're in this endurance test that, as we said right at the beginning, it's, you know, we don't know how long we'll be still in our homes for, but somehow in the middle of this darkness, we have to look for tomorrow, right? And these sort of studies are essential, you know, to somehow find a way to consider tomorrow.
Yeah.
So it's an interesting one, Daniel. And it's, you know, it must really stimulate you and your work to see these.
Yeah, I mean, I have to say that it's very rewarding when you work for companies that care.
Yeah.
And you know, I've mentioned three or the four companies that I've worked for over the past couple of years. But I mean, it's important to feel like you're part of the solution and not the problem, right? So I've been seeing incredible examples of brands and consumers and people, everyday people, just coming together in Florence and helping out. I mean, you know, Helen, how Florentines are. They can be a bit reserved and they can be a bit complicated at times. But in this time period, I've seen such an incredible turnaround, and hopefully this is going to make us stronger after this, right?
Yeah, I mean, that's the one thing that I can say about Italians. I mean, they are incredibly resilient, and when their backs are to the wall, that's when they bring out their brilliance. And it's why we had the old Renaissance, and that's why I think we can very much look forward to a new Renaissance sometime very soon. So I think we all plan towards that, Daniel. And thank you very much for joining us this evening and describing all of this wonderful work that
thank you.
Charity work that goes on in Florence. You know?
A lot of it, and I think a lot of it is goes behind the scenes, goes on behind the scenes. But I think it's important for people to know that people really care here, and that there's a network of resources available for organizations, for everyday people that you might not know about, and it's unexpected, right? So
absolutely, gives us hope. No, it gives us hope in our fellow human beings, and that's what we need now as we stand together through this. So.
Yeah, and thank you for communicating all of these wonderful initiatives. You guys have always been incredibly supportive for the nonprofit world here in Florence for the many years that we've known each other. So so keep up the good work, and I know that we'll be doing a lot more work together. And I'm sorry if our teams keep bombarding you with press releases and having your inbox.
No, need to know what's going on. So thank you very much, Daniel. Next week we'll be back. We've been a bit idle this week. I will realize, it's been Easter. We took a few days off after producing that 106-page commemorative issue. We'll be back next week we've got 3 events lined up next week on TF Together. So please do have a look at that link that's coming up on your screen right now, and please do join us as we continue together in this journey. We're still here, all of us, and we're fighting to move forward. Thank you again, Daniel, and have a wonderful weekend.
Thank you. I'm signing up for a Negroni with you next time we're out of the house.
Can't wait.
No.
Thank you to everybody for joining.
Thank you, everyone.
Goodbye.
Bye.